How would you like to build a debt-free property portfolio that brings you a passive income every year? Well, stay tuned because I'm about to show you how we do it in 3 easy steps. Hi everybody. In a recent video I talked about how we refinance the deposit from our first investment property to make a deposit for the second and the third and the fourth, and make sure that the first one does all the heavy lifting for us, and then we can multiply a lot easier. In this video, I want to talk to you about how we build successful property portfolios for an end strategy. And a lot of people, for that end strategy, it often means either passing something on to your children or funding your retirement. And it's one thing to buy a number of properties, but it's another thing to actually work out what that will equate to in the future and why you're doing it in the first place. So again, I'm going to use our little daughter's building blocks. My little daughter Talia, she's missing these for a little bit, but I'm going to just be brief. These are the red blocks, of course, again, which means that we're using these as debt. So this is the bank's money. And the green blocks, if it's green, it means the money belongs to us. So what I want to do is I want to talk to you about a 3-stage process that we call the build, hold, and sell strategy, right? So the build strategy runs for a certain period of time. It's really up to you how long that period takes, but the build strategy is where you put as much effort into buying as many properties as you can in a finite period of time. And for this example, we're going to use 5 years. And I want to use these 4 blocks to represent 4 properties worth $500,000 each. So I'm going to say over a 5-year period, we're going to buy 4 properties at $500,000 each. And you'll notice that they're red because the red represents debt. And when we go to the bank, really look, 80 to 90%, if not more, is going to be made up of debt. So for this exercise, I'm keeping it really basic, and we're going to use these blocks to say these are the properties with the debt on them. Now, the second stage is called the hold period. And look, this strategy is really simple because once you've done your build phase for let's say 5 years, the hold period is you just hold those properties. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to buy any more. It's simply where you hold them. Now, the hold period is very important. It's got to be for a minimum of 10 years. Now, the reason I use 10 years as in this example is because the aim is to see this portfolio double in value. Now, will this portfolio double in value over 10 years? Possibly. Over 15, if you bought the first one in the first year and then waited 5 years and then added the 10 years on for the whole period, possibly as well. So this is an average, of course. It could be 12 years. The key here is that this property doubles in value. And what happens when it doubles is that the properties go up in value. And you'll notice that I've put the green blocks on the top. So this is the new value of the property. Now, the green blocks are our money, right? Remember this because it's very important. Essentially, this is the equity in our properties. If we sold this property, and this is what I'm going to get to in the next step, this money would come back to us, less taxes and costs, of course. So after the second stage, which is the whole period, the sell period is the third stage. So the third stage here is what we do in our exit strategy. And this could be coming up to retirement. It could be, you retire early, you pass some of these on to your kids, whatever you like to do. So we've got a few options when we get to this sell period here. The first option is, of course, we could sell the whole thing down. We could take this equity, we could pay the debt down, less our costs and taxes, and we're left with a profit. That money goes straight into the bank. The downside with that is that the bank's interest rates right now, quite frankly, aren't even keeping up with inflation. So you probably see that money erode over time and it's not growing for you. The other strategy that we could use is simply to hold the whole portfolio. There's no reason we have to get rid of it. So if you're coming into retirement, as long as you can service this debt, which most people will feel uncomfortable about in retirement, they want to get rid of as much debt as possible and focus on income. You could hold this portfolio and just keep watching this equity grow over time. Now, the third way that I like to look at this period in particular is to do this. I'm going to separate these two. And what I want to do is I want to sell down half my portfolio. So what's going to happen when I sell that down is I'm going to take this equity, I'm going to pay off the loan, so that goes out of the equation. Of course, less taxes and costs, but given that I had a deposit on some of these, this is probably cancelled out to some degree. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to take this equity and I'm going to put it over here in front of the other two. You can see what's happening here. And I'm going to pay off the debt on the others. So the debt goes. Now this is very important. I've used half the portfolio to sell down. I've taken the equity from that, or the profit, and I've paid down the debt on the other half. What I'm left with right now are 4 blocks, and if you remember how much these blocks are worth, $500,000 each. So I am now left with a $2 million property portfolio. Now this is debt free. This is essential. If you're looking at a retirement income, this is a great passive income. And if you look at an average return on a rental income, you might be looking at 4%, less costs, etc. You're going to look at around $50,000 to $60,000 after costs net income on a portfolio like this. Now remember, we started with 4 blocks, $500,000 each, and we had 5 years to build that. Then we waited a minimum of 10 years, so that's 15 years under our belt, and we have now a portfolio of $2 million, debt-free, giving us a passive income of $50,000 to $60,000 a year. If you like how this looks, or if you have any questions, please get in touch with me down below. This is something that we walk our clients through every day in our strategy sessions. I'd love to hear from you. You've been watching me, Josh Masters, at On the Ladder.